This is not a dream.
Phil walks the tree line when the sun goes down. Boots in the gravel on the edge of town. Backpack rattles with a lantern and a map, looking for the things that never make the trap. Old folks whisper when they see him pass. Boys been chasing shadows in the midnight grass. But Phil just smiles at the cold night air, 'cause something out there knows he's there. In the rustle of leaves, in the creak of the pine, in the fog where the footprints twist the line. He's the Dogman, TP hunter, roving through the night, chasing ghostly echoes in the pale moonlight. From forgotten forests to the deserts deep, where the old bones hide and the spirits creep. With a camera and courage and a trail to see, he'll follow any legend through eternity. Yeah, the world's full of whispers most folks never see, but they all know Phil. He slept in ruins where the cold winds cry, watch strange lights dancing in a cold black sky. Track bent branches where the tall grass sways, heard something breathing in the forest haze. Every dusty road and every haunted bed holds another secret he's about to defend. And when the fire burns low and the coyotes sing, you can bet he's hunting something strange again. Through the static and dark, through the myth and the lore, there's a howl in the hills he can't ignore. He's the Dogman, TP hunter, roaming through the night, chasing ghostly echoes in the pale moonlight. From forgotten forests to the deserts deep, where the old bones hide and the spirits creep. With a camera and courage and a trail to see, he'll follow any legend through eternity. Yeah, the world's full of whispers most folks never see, but they all know Phil. But they all know Phil. Maybe it's a shadow, maybe something real, maybe ancient footprints only he can feel. But the truth lives somewhere past the tree line bend, and Phil won't stop until the very end. He's the Dogman, TP hunter, roams into the trail, following the stories in the midnight gale. Ghosts in the rafters and beasts in the pines, calling out his name through the ancient signs. And if you hear a howl where the campfires be and a and free.
Welcome to the Friday Night Files. Thank you very much for joining us. You had a great week. Hope you had a marvelous week, but it's even better because it's Friday. Thank goodness for Friday, eh? Right, I'm going to first of all bring up, because time is of the essence, because we've got a fabulous guest, absolute legend, absolute legend in the Bigfoot and cryptid world. So let's get Natalie on first and see what she's been up to. Hello.
Fucking glasses. What have I been up to?
Yeah.
When you would like to guess. It's like, what? Again, my hair's not
Yeah.
behaving. It's like, it's
Your
got
hair
one
looks,
little bit.
yeah,
So again,
your horns are gone. You got rid of your horns.
yeah, no, I washed my hair again. So it's like, yeah.
Yeah.
This is one little bit here that won't behave in my glasses. But, oh dear, never mind. I can't blame it on the wind.
You got a little Tintin bit. Look,
I know it's annoying me.
Yeah. That looks right like that, actually.
It wasn't.
That's
They
okay.
used to have.
Leave you standing up. It's like an aerial.
Yeah, I was gonna say, who was that kids TV show character that used to have the little bit of hair sticking up? Was it Mr. Majika? And when he was doing magic spells, his little hair used to do that. It was a British TV show, so the American audience probably hasn't got a clue. I'm sure it was Mr. Majika. And he had this little bit of hair sticking up, and it used to do that when he was doing magic spells.
I don't remember that. I don't remember that. No, I probably wasn't on the same medication as you.
Maybe not. I'll have to Google it later and send it and prove that I'm not imagining it.
Yeah, completely. Just agree with her. It's the best way.
Yeah.
I've learned
Well,
that.
the 80s kids TV shows were
That's
always
right,
like a
Natalie.
bit.
You're completely right. Yes, that was a program. It's Mandela, really. It's Mandela. It really
was a
wasn't
special
a program.
program.
Yeah, it doesn't exist. Only in her head.
It's a Mandela effect. It exists on one reality somewhere. CERN's been messing with it.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly. Yeah.
I remember it.
Oh, I want to quickly just show before we bring. I just want to quickly show the lovely people. Your let's have a look. But this yes, here we go. Right, just want to show, because you done a wonderful article, Natalie's Musings on Patreon. And I would advise anyone, honestly, if you want to have a ruddy good read, okay, to have a little look on coincidence stacking on Patreon, because I read it. She put it up. I didn't even know she was going to put it up. She put it up on the Patreon because the Patreon is the Friday Night Files Patreon, and we run it between the two of us, and she just puts musings up whenever she wants, and I just like slap a load of stuff up when I do. So keep an eye. But her coincidence stacking is a fabulous article. I must admit, Natalie, you've done a great job with that one.
Thank you. I was quite proud of that, actually. It just wrote, you know, when writers say it write itself, that one actually just wrote itself. I just fired it off in a couple of hours. It's I was quite pleased. Yeah. So yeah. Well, that was like how I approach paranormal investigations. So rather than using gadgets, I always look at coincidence stacking. So, but yes, I was explaining why. So yes, so anybody wants to
please do. Yeah, have a look. It really is well worth it. You know, because she uses a lot of long words, which I had trouble with. You know, but I hacked my way through it. I get my way through it, and it was I learned quite a lot from that. I actually learned quite a lot from that. Thank you. You know, because you know. No, seriously, it did, and really good. Yeah. So this week's all about Bigfoot and Dogman. Have you got big feet, Natalie?
For a girl, I suppose I might have. I don't know. The size 7 is that big. Not quite
Yeah.
Bigfoot size.
But I'm a bloke, right? And I'm size 8.
But you're shorter than me, aren't you? I think
I'm
so.
like a hobbit. I'm like a hobbit. I've
Yeah.
got hobbit feet, you know. So I always used to say to the ladies, I'm size 8, but I'm wide fit. Yeah. Anyway, should we bring the guest on before it lows even further? Right. We are very, very pleased and happy to have a fantastic guest on this week. And his name Darrell Denton. Oh,
Hello.
Hello, Darrell.
Hey, how are you? Thanks for having me here. Good to see you both.
Oh, it's lovely having you. Thank you very much for joining. You know, I do appreciate it on our, you know, on our little channel. You know, it's to have someone like you. You know, brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
I'm just a normal guy that's had a lot of experiences, but that's very kind of you. I'm very honored to be here with both of you.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Yeah. How have you been lately, then, Darrell? What have you been up to?
You know, I've had a lot of stuff going on personally, and quite a few shows I've been doing, and did Coast to Coast last week, and I've got quite a few conferences coming up, and I've got a special deal we're doing this weekend that's going to be pretty nice. Meeting a lot of people that I haven't met before, but it's pretty much that time of year where our conferences kick off, and that's what we're doing here in the U.S. Usually April's when they kick off, and I've got quite a few coming up in April.
Do you know, Darrell? It's almost as if people at home would think that it's kind of like we scripted it, right? But it's not been. Now I've got a conference, my first one. It's not so much a conference as a talk I'm doing. Yeah.
Well, that's
I'm
nice.
doing this. Yeah. First time on stage, not sweeping it for a change.
Sounds good.
Amazing. Absolutely. Yeah. I shall.
Where are you two actually located at? I know you're in the UK, but where?
I'm in the Midlands, so I'm basically in the middle of the UK.
Okay.
East side, East Midlands. So although to Phil, who's a southerner, I'm a northerner. I'm actually a Midlander, because we're in the middle. So yeah, and Phil, you're down south, aren't you?
Well, here in the US, I'm in the south. So
okay.
But we, you know, I have so many people from the UK that's in my group. I just I'm very close to quite a bit of them, so they're very kind, and they really keep us informed on what's going on over there.
Oh, cool. Yeah, there's a lot of my paranormal friends are American. There does seem to be a UK America sort of like what's the word? Exchange going on in the paranormal community. There's they seem to it's like I love my American friends, so it's like it's nice that you've got a lot as well. So especially in the cryptids as well, it's unusual because like I didn't know until recently that we possibly have more cryptids in the UK than I thought we did. So it's a bit of a learning curve for me, to be fair. But,
you know, I've known quite a while that you had over the centuries. There's been lots of people that have had Dogman or Wolfman encounters, but I wasn't sure about the Bigfoot.
Yeah, it's a bit controversial, isn't it, Phil, the Bigfoot in the UK? Some people say there is, and some say there isn't. So
yeah, it is.
The jury's out.
But Darrell, just to get a bit of a tip, right? This is my upcoming stage appearance. Right, you've done lots of conferences, right? You've been on stage. What tips can you give me?
Just be yourself and just relax and tell them what you know. And if you don't know something, don't add to it or take away. Just try to be yourself and be very accompanying on their questions and that type of thing, and it'll go good.
Okay. All right, people, it's the Balmoral Community Centre, Salisbury Avenue, Westcliff-on-Sea, Essex. Okay. On the 3rd of April this year, and it's hosted by Essex UFO Group with David Hobbs. So yeah, please come down and see me then from 7 till 10 in the evening.
That's cool. Congratulations to you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I know. I'm nervous, but I'm looking forward to it. I'm nervous, but I'm looking forward to it, Dal. It probably will be only a couple. It won't be like one of your conferences. It'll probably be like kind of my mother there, and probably some old lady that's like kind of sheltering, waiting for a bus, who's like fed up with the rain and just come in to keep out the rain. And she's
I
like
got
looking
you.
at me, thinking,
Yeah.
yeah, that's probably like the audience I'll get.
Yeah, she'll have her donation cup. Is that what you're saying for
Yeah,
donations? I got you. Yeah.
that's it. Yeah.
I think Phil's kind of pulling our leg a little bit here because I know it's going to be different. I think you'll do fine. Just be yourself.
I will do. Yeah, that's what worries me now.
I was just going to say, are you sure that's a good idea?
Well, I wouldn't let it affect me like that. I would just say I would look at it as an adventure that you're going into, and the people will make you feel comfortable.
Yeah. Natalie's going to be there as well. She's not going to be on stage, but she's going to, yeah, because I've got a screen in the back. So I'm going to like kind of have Natalie supporting me because she's giving me moral support, while I'm blabbering away and waffling, and she's very often she's like, "Shut up, Phil, stop talking." She'll say something like that, which is quite useful.
Yeah, I've actually got a friend in the States here that he's always nervous at conferences, and he's at quite a few of them, to be honest with you. And he won't go on stage without a little drink. So, that seems to calm his nerves, and he talks quite well. But me, if I had a drink, I would probably be babbling about something else. So I wouldn't want to do that.
Yeah, if I hit the Cointreau, that's it.
Yeah, it's a fine line, isn't it? Although you are funny when you're drinking Cointreau, so you might be okay.
Am I? Funny, peculiar. Yeah. What with your experiences that you had, had they been in? Have you lived in the same state all the while, Darrell, or have you moved around in the States?
Well, I lived in the southern part of the U.S., which is Tennessee, all my life, and I have lived in a couple of other states just over the last 4 or 5 years. One of my daughters was living in Virginia, so I lived there for a while, and my lady that I've been with for a long time lives in New Jersey, which is far east up the coast. I'm about 980 miles from her actual home place, but I live there too, and then I live in Tennessee. We kind of travel back and forth because my family's here in Tennessee, and my mom and dad are doing well, and I'm actually at their home today, and they're 85 years old and really in unbelievable health. So my mom does 5 to 10 miles a day, and they're both really in good. I hope they stay that way. So
I was going to say, oh no, that's lovely to hear.
Tennessee mainly. I've researched now all over the U.S. Mainly in Tennessee, Kentucky, which the LBL, Land Between the Lakes of Tennessee and Kentucky, is about 170,000 acres of mainly wilderness with some campgrounds scattered out through it. That's our main area that we research now. But I've researched a lot of areas. Cheatham County, Tennessee is probably one of my hot spots for years, and I spent a lot of time there, and I still go there some. But I've had my biggest encounters. The one I had for 5 years with my family of Bigfoot, they were actually in Cheatham, between Nashville and Cheatham County on the Cumberland River. And I befriended that family for about 5 years. They were very close to me. Family of Bigfoot, I call them forest people when they're the friendly type that make the X's. They make the X's with trees in the woods. That's their marker for their family. Had my first encounter in Woodbury, Cannon County, Tennessee, which is about 96 miles from Nashville. My grandfather had a big farm there, and that was my first encounter in 1992 with a Bigfoot that was called the wood booger. And that's what they call them in that area. And I'd never dreamed that one of these things lived around there, but it did. And scared me to death. I don't scare easy, but that did. And thing showed me its teeth, and it growled at me. And I was in a tree stand deer hunting. And, it took me a long time to get over that, about 7 years before I went back into the woods again. Then I had my second encounter, which was nothing but non-aggressive. These creatures know your intentions. So big difference when you're sitting in a tree with a gun and you're in the woods fishing. They friended me, and that lasted quite a while, almost 5 years, and became very close to them.
So
I've had a couple. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, Darrell. If we can just go back to your first encounter, can you give us a sort of a blow by blow what actually happened when you were in the tree stand, and what the Dogman looked like? What did it look like?
Well, that particular creature was a Bigfoot.
Bigfoot. Sorry, yeah.
But it was in that I'd never dreamed that there was a creature like that in those woods. I always thought that the Bigfoot creatures lived out west in Washington or British Columbia or California or possibly, Oregon State, that area, because that's where there's so many sightings out at that time. But this creature, I was on my grandfather's property, and I'd hunted there all my life, but I'd never been that far in. I was about a mile in. My grandfather had a large farm, and he had adjoining farms that attached to his on the outside of his land, and it's very rural, and his neighbors were more than welcome to us to hunt there. I had 3 of my friends up there with me. That was probably our 5th or 6th year up there. We went up there opening week every year of deer season, which is called black powder, muzzleloader, a single shot mini ball or slug that you ram right in with powder and a patch, of like the old timey type hunters used, and that opens up a week before regular gun season, and you have a better chance to kill a nice deer. If it depends on if you're trophy hunting or hunting for meat. So I was mostly a trophy hunter, and didn't kill anything unless it was real big. I was in that area with my 3 friends, and I had a big trailer I pulled behind my truck, and a camper trailer, and we pulled up next to the barn the day before it opened and set up, and then my buddy followed in his truck with a big trailer. We had 4 ATVs. We all had an ATV or a 4-wheeler on there that we used, and we parked and set up, and my granddad at that time was 92 years old, but he again was not like a regular 92-year-old guy. He was still farming and milking cows and all the stuff that he did, and he told me, I asked him, where's a good spot to get a big trophy? I'm not looking for anything but a trophy, Granddad. And on his back porch, he pointed to a hill, and it was about 3 hills back behind his porch. He said, you see that hill with that crooked tree on it? And I said, yeah. He said, go there. The very bottom of it will be a stream, a creek that runs all year round. It's a pretty good sized creek, and there used to be an old grist mill there when I was a boy, and that's my old home place where I was born. And I'd been there, but it'd been years, and we went by gravel road to get there, a different direction. And it's a clearing in the middle where his old home place was. The only thing standing was the chimney, and you could see remnants of the tin roof on the ground. The log cabin had fallen in by that time. And he said, when you get there, that's probably nobody been in there in 30 years or longer, and your chances of seeing a big deer will probably be there. And there's a lot of acorns there, a lot of food for them to eat. And I went over there the day before and carried my climbing stand that was on my back, and we go through the back of his house and through a gate and across a long field that's about probably 200 yards wide, where his cows were at the grazing. And Then you get to a wire fence, and you have to climb over it. It has 2 strands of barbed wire on top, and jump into the leaves on the other side because all the leaves were off the trees that time of year. And it's very steep. These hills are like 45-degree angle. They're almost straight up, and they're real tall. And there's the hills of Tennessee are mountains, hills, and valleys, and they're it's pretty. It will wear you out climbing up those things. So it's probably 100 yards tall, and I had to cross 3 of those to get to the spot, and I did it, and it took me about an hour. And I found the spot he was talking about. I found the stream, and I looked across the other side, and I seen what was left of the old home place. I knew it was in the right area, and I could see some of the big rocks from the old mill that had been there at one time. And basically found the tree on the left there on this side of the creek, and put my climbing stand around it and got in it and climbed up into the top of the tree where I was planning on being the next morning, and cut some limbs off with a little saw I had, and just got ready for the hunt, and came back down. And then I crossed the creek. The water was in a few spots. You could find a little shallower area, be up to about your knee, but most of the water in the creek was about your waist. And walked up onto, it's about 10 or 12 foot wide creek, and walked up on top of the other side of the bank there, and there's a game trail that ran all down the side of that creek there. And I followed it to a tree that was I'd be looking down on, and it was a oak tree, a long limb sticking out about 8 foot off the ground, because I'm 6'5", and if I reach up, I can grab a little over 8 foot. And I had what's called a drag rag, and you put it on your boot, and you put deer scent on it. And when you go in the woods, that covers the human scent as you're going in, and it also attracts the male deer to that area. It's called doe and estrus scent you put on that rag. And I reached up and grabbed that limb and tied that drag rag to it and let it go. And I was going to let it just filter down that hollow there and over the night. And the next morning when I came back, hopefully it would draw one in. And went back to my grandfather's house, and we, my buddies they'd already had their stands, and we had stands built in those woods, and we had about a 5 mile area to hunt. So there was plenty of room, and none of us were in the same direction, and had a good night. And I told my granddad, wake me up in the morning when you come, and I'll head that way. And that next morning before daylight, he knocked on the side of my camper there and said, "Get up, boy." And my granddad always called me boy. He never called me by my name. And I got up and I headed that way, and went down through behind his house, through the gate, and shut it, and crossed that wide field, and got to the wire fence, and climbed up over it and over the barbed wire, and jumped over into the leaves, and made about 3 or 4 steps, started going up the hillside. And I heard something to the left of me, and it sounded like a person, a bipedal type, something walking to the left of me, and it kind of startled me. And I stopped, and I shined my flashlight over in that area. I didn't see anything, and shined it again, and I didn't see anything, and I didn't hear it walk anymore. So I headed on up the hill and got over the first hill and the second one, and I was going down the third hill, down to the bottom where the creek was, and I heard something on top of the hill to the left of me, the far left, walking again. This time it was louder, and it sounded heavy. And I thought, well, this can't be a person in here, because my granddad wouldn't allow anybody to hunt, and there's nobody around here that hunts that much anyway. But it sure sounded like a person walking. And again, shined the light, did not see anything, and kind of stayed on my mind a little bit, trying to figure out what that was, who's in here, and got on down and got to my stand next to the creek there. And there's climbing stands. You put your feet in them and you start climbing. It's like a blade that digs into the tree, and then you sit down in the seat part of it, and it kind of leans back and digs into the tree, and you go up. And I got up to 28 feet up in the tree, and I know it's 28 feet because I have a rope that's hooked to my belt loop that goes to the ground. and it's 28 foot long. It has a clip on the bottom, and my gun is tied to that clip so I can pull it up when I get up there. And it gets tight at 28 feet, so I know I'm where I need to be. And I have a safety strap around me that I put up the day before, and I put that around me and hung my things up behind me on the few limbs I'd cut off. And I was pretty much ready to hunt. And I kind of leaned back in this stand, and it digs into the tree with this blade that digs into the tree, and where you won't slip or fall, and it'll stay steady there. And had a little bar in front of me that I pulled down. It has a camo cover in it, and it goes from right under your chin all the way down past your feet. It conceals you where nothing can see you up there. And pull my gun up and set it between my legs against that pole, that little bar there, and I'm ready to hunt. And it's still dark at this time, and I sat there till the sunrise started, and it was a real foggy morning. I started looking across the creek, and I couldn't see the other side because there was so much fog coming from the creek. And I just quietly sat there, and I could hear all the little critters running around in the morning like they do, squirrels and everything else under me in the leaves. And it got daylight, and it started warming up a little, and the fog cleared, and I could see the other side. To the left of me was a huge thicket of what we call cane, river cane. It looks like bamboo, but it's real tall, 14, 15, 16 foot tall. And it's probably sometimes 2 or 3 inches, even 4 inches in diameter. And it grows real tall on the river and creek banks. And it was all down to the left of me. There was that pretty thick as far as I could see down around a bend. I couldn't see on the other side of that. And I was sitting there waiting for something to happen, and I could see the drag rag hanging in that tree across from me. Now, I'm up on this tree at a 45-degree angle, so I'm almost looking over the creek, even though I'm on the other side. So I'm waiting, and about that time, I noticed a female deer come out of that cane thicket to the left of me somewhere. Came down, took a step off of the area there and walked through the creek, went up to the other top of the creek and onto the game trail there on the edge of the bank of that creek on the opposite side, and just walked slowly down toward the drag rag I had. And then 2 more came in right behind it. They were also young deer, probably yearlings from that mother. And they were just walking around that area, and they were eating acorns. There was a large acorn harvest that year, and that's one of deer's favorite food. And it's where you find acorns, you're going to find deer. And I watched them mill around and kick in the leaves and eat acorns for quite a while. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, I noticed the large female doe was just frozen. She was not even moving. She was looking to the left of her into that cane thicket somewhere, and was just not moving at all, like she was staring something down. And the other 2 deer were doing the same thing. The one to the right of her, the one to the left back behind her. They were all just frozen still looking into that cane thicket. Well, I'm thinking immediately, there's a big buck deer, a big male deer is about to come out of there. I'm excited thinking this is about what will happen. And all of a sudden, the female deer, the large doe, raised her front hoof, her leg and her hoof, and pawed 3 times on the ground like she was trying to get something to move over in there. And she was just froze staring in there. I watched her ears flicker a little bit. And I can remember this like yesterday. It was so terrifying for me. I don't get scared, but this was different thing that I'd never seen. But anyway, the female deer raised her head real high and blew. Well, it sounds like somebody sneezing almost. A deer will blow like that, and but it's a lot louder. And it kind of echoed down that hollow there. It was so loud, and she was, again, just frozen looking in the area. And she was trying to get something to move or something to leave. And again, I'm thinking this is a big buck male deer that's about to come out of there. And all of a sudden, she turns to the right, and runs right by me. I'm looking right down on her as fast as she can run to the right. I watch her and the other two young deer run off into the hardwoods till they disappeared. And very unusual for a deer to do that unless somebody had spooked it or somebody had fired at it or something like that. So I was a little confused, but I'm thinking, well, this must be one massive big deer that's coming out of this cane thicket somewhere over here. And I start seeing the cane thicket moving. And from the very back of it, you can see the tops bending like this. Something is walking through it, but I couldn't see what it was. And I'm thinking this must be massive to move that cane thicket like that, because it takes a lot. It's pretty hard to move that stuff, and it's not easy to walk through. And it takes a lot of power to break one of them. And there's 7 or 8 of these things moving, so something is coming from the back to the front. And I watch it get to the front and it stopped moving and I couldn't see what it was. And then it stepped out. It stepped out on this little bank that was on the edge of the creek between the cane. And it stood there. And I looked at it, I just couldn't believe what I was seeing. I was thinking, what is that? Is that a person? And I kept looking at it. And about that time, it takes one step and leaps the complete creek, lands on the other side, on top of the game trail there. That little game trail was on the edge on the opposite side. And it starts walking to the right. It's coming down toward me. And I'm just in disbelief thinking, what is that? And by then I knew it wasn't a person, but it was kind of like a person, but it didn't look like a person. And it was walking down and then it stops and it turns and it looks right at me. It knew exactly where I was at. I'm up in this tree, 28 feet. It's staring right at me. It is so mad. It had the ugliest, meanest looking face I've ever seen. And one side of its mouth was either deformed or had been damaged or something. It was kind of out of contortion on the right side. And when it would grit its teeth and show me its teeth, that side of the mouth would kind of curl up. And it was looking right at me in the most angry look, and it was showing me its teeth. And I didn't know what I was looking at. I'd never seen anything like this, but I knew immediately that's what I had heard that morning. This thing had followed me in, and it knew exactly where I was sitting, and it probably watched me climb the tree, and it just stops and stares at me, and it's looking at me. Then it starts growling.
Ooh.
And it's a growl like I've never heard before. It was not like a lion or a tiger. It was more like a deep guttural type growl, but it was like I'm mad and I'm going to get you, that type of growl. And then it just walks right over to the right and it reaches up and it grabs that drag rag I'd hung in that tree, and its head is about equal with that limb, which means it was about 8 foot or a little more taller than its height, and grabs that rag, pulls it down and smells of it, and then just rips the entire tree limb out of the tree. Now, this is not a massive tree limb. It's probably 2 or 3 inches in diameter at the base where it went into the tree, but it was like it could have been a 2 by 10. When I seen it pull that tree limb out like that, it just scared me to death. And it threw it on the ground, and it walks right back over where it was standing. It starts staring at me again, and it is mad. I can't express how mean it looked and how mad it was. Its eyes were watering. It was growling. It was showing me its teeth, and I thought, well, this is it. This thing's coming across the creek. It's going to pull me out of this tree, and it's coming. And I reached down, I pulled my trigger back on my 50 caliber black powder rifle, and I heard it click. And I'm thinking, I got one shot with this thing, and I'm pretty quick with a reload. I can reload in less than 2 minutes with powder horn, ball, the entire thing. But I don't know if I'm going to get a second shot in on this thing. And I thought, well, do I shoot it? And if I'm going to shoot it, I'm going to hit right between the eyes. And that's the only chance I got, because I 100% thought this thing was coming across the creek and it was going to pull me out of the tree. It was that mad. And then it's looking at me, and I'm thinking, I didn't know where to shoot it or what to do. I even thought about dropping that bar and jumping and running, and I thought, well, it'll catch me if I do that. And about that time, it lets out this unbelievable scream like yell. It was a cross between a yell and a scream. And it echoes down that hollow. It sounded like it echoed for 5 minutes, but it was nowhere near that amount of time. But it was just terrifying, this scream yell like it made. And I done made my mind up. After a yell like that, here it comes. It's coming across. And I picked my gun up. I was ready to fire. I had it laying on the bar, aiming it at it. And all of a sudden it turns and just walks straight ahead. One time it stops and looks back at me like that with that mean look on its face. And I watched it walk off into the hardwoods that just walked to it, went out of sight. And I wasn't going to take 15, 20 minutes to climb down in that tree stand. I dropped that bar and jumped 28 foot out of the top of the tree stand. I landed on the leaves on that real 45-degree angle on that hillside, and I slid all the way into the creek. I had my gun above my head and got water up above my waist, and I looked across the bank. I didn't see it, and I took off running as fast as I could up that hillside, the same way I'd come in, and looking back the whole entire time to make sure this thing wasn't coming. And by the time I got across the first hill, I was going down the second. On the way up the second hill, I looked back on top of the hill, and there it stood. And I just panicked then because my adrenaline kicked in. I thought, this thing's coming after me. So I was so out of breath, I couldn't hardly make it to the top. I had to stop, and I was looking back at that thing, and it was just watching me. And time I got over the second hill, I'm going down toward the third hill, and I get over the top of it. I don't see it again. I look back continuously. I'm still running. I just have to stop a few times because I couldn't catch my breath. And I get over the top of that hill, and I'm running as fast as I can down the third hill. And I see the fence down there, the one I have to stop and climb over. And I look back, didn't see the creature. And I made my mind up. I'm not stopping and climbing. I'm jumping it. And I was running as fast as I could on that hillside. And I jumped the fence. It was about probably 6 foot tall or a little taller, and cleared everything but the barbed wire, and it ripped my pants from the bottom all the way up past my knee. But I just kept running. I tore a huge gash on the side of my leg and just kept running. Didn't even know I'd done it. I got across the field, looking back, did not see it. Got to my grandfather's gate to his backyard and raised it up and reached back through and locked it back and run into the back porch of his old farmhouse and went through the back door and reached out and took the screen door and put the hook on it and slammed the door and locked it and looked out the glass. And I didn't see the creature coming, but I was so out of breath. I run into the living room there, which is to the right of my grandfather's kitchen that I'd just come through, and went over in the corner between a big potbelly wood stove and the corner and sat down on the floor. And my granddad was sitting there to the left in his rocking chair, and he said, "Boy, what's wrong with you?" And I couldn't talk. I was so out of breath, I couldn't talk, and I just couldn't say anything. And I finally got my composure a little bit. And he kept saying, "What's wrong with you? You look like you've seen a ghost." And I couldn't say anything. I finally got my breath back, and I went into the kitchen there and got a glass of water and came back and sat on the couch next to where he was at. And I said, "I don't know how to tell you this, Granddad, but I've seen a monster in the woods." And he said, "A monster?" He said, "There ain't no monsters around here." And I said, "I'm telling you, I seen a monster." "What did it look like?" And I told him. And shockingly, still today, because me and my granddad were very close. I'm talking about, he was like my dad to me. We were super close. I helped him raise crops and tobacco every summer. I was always there. I lived with him until I was 6 years old, him and my grandmother. And he said, "Boy, you seen a woodbugger." I said, "What?" I seen a what? He said, "A woodbugger." I said, "What is a woodbugger? You never told me about a woodbugger." He goes, "Nope, never did. Never was going to, because if I did, you wouldn't have camped in the woods. You wouldn't have hunted. You wouldn't have slept in the barn at night with your friends, and you wouldn't have been out there today if you'd have known that thing existed. He said, I've seen 4 of them in my lifetime up close. I'll be working in the field cutting hay with the mules, and I'll look up and they're standing right next to the fence just watching me work. He said, you remember when you sit on the front porch at night and you would hear them strange screams and yells in the woods, and you would ask me what they were, and I'd say, it's just an old catamount. And I'd say, well, what's a catamount? He goes, don't worry about it. And he said, that's what you were hearing. And they've lived around here as long as I've been around here. And my uncle and my dad knew of them very well. And they live around here. I should have known you going in that deep, but that's probably where they would live.
So Darrell, your grandfather was aware of them. Obviously.
Oh yeah, he's seen 4 of them in his lifetime and heard a lot more of them.
Okay.
So,
this when you saw this creature, it was bipedal. It was standing up. Yeah.
Yeah. It was solid black. It had a huge body. Its chest and its arms were massive. Its head was solid black. It had hair all over its head, right above its forehead and under its eyes looked like black leather. Then it had hair below that and on above that, and had fingers just like us, except they were dark in color like black leather, and they had hair on the hands, and the feet were the same way. I couldn't see them well because they were down in the leaves, but I could see them good enough. And
did you see its ears? Did you see the ears?
The ears were just flat against his head, like ours. They were flat against his head like ours. It had a big nose, and it's the mouth was like deformed or something, or maybe it was born that way, or maybe it had been in an accident. But instead of the mouth being normal straight across, it was kind of curled up on one end, like something had happened. It got into some type of fight, or maybe it was born that way. And its eyes were black. His eyes were white with black centers, and it was the meanest looking creature I've ever seen to this day.
Yeah, it does sound terrifying, especially if you're not expecting it as well. It's like, wow.
But my granddad told me, the funny thing about it was, I just couldn't believe my granddad had never told me about this, because we were close enough that I figured he would have told me, but he didn't, and I understood why he didn't, because I wouldn't have done what he said. But he said, these things come around the house in the wintertime. He goes, my granddad lived by himself. And I'm talking about in the middle of nowhere. It's rural out there. There's nothing. There's gravel roads getting to his house, and there's only enough. The next farm is probably a mile away, and it's just an old farmhouse. It's very rural in the country. And he told me, he said, in the wintertime, they get hungry, and they come here to the hen house. My granddad had a huge chicken house out to the left of his house, and had a lot of chickens, probably 50 or 60 chickens in there. And he sold eggs, and he ate eggs that they also laid. And he would kill chickens for, his dinner too occasionally. But he said in the wintertime, they come in and they open the gate to the chicken house, and they'll reach in and get 2 or 3 chickens, and they'll take them, and they'll leave a little pile of rocks and sticks like they're paying for them in a little spot. And he said they're respectful, and then they don't take them all. They just take a few, and then I won't see them again. I won't know.
Interesting. You know, when they take the chicken, they actually take the chicken. They don't. There's no blood left. They don't eat or kill the chicken.
By what he told me, they would just take 3 or 4 chickens and leave a little pile of sticks and rocks in a little spot, like they were giving you something back for taking the chickens. And they actually showed me a couple of them, so they were pretty cool. Some little rocks that they left. And
when you see the rocks, when you've seen the rocks, are the rocks kind of stacked one above the other quite delicately?
They are. Yes.
They are. Yeah.
And then the little sticks would be. They were kind of like all of them had like a V on the end of them, and like they had broken them off that way. It meant something to them, and I don't know what it meant, but apparently they thought it was value because they left it for the chickens. So, but my granddad was, he apologized to me. Boy, I'm sorry I didn't tell you. I didn't think you'd probably see one of them, but it was the most terrifying thing I've ever seen. I've seen bear in the woods. I've seen everything you can think of in the woods. Some things I didn't know what it was, but I didn't get scared. And this thing, it didn't scare me. It terrified me. I've never been that scared in my life. And it took me about 7 years. I didn't go in the woods for 7 years. I didn't hunt again. What hunting I did was out of my truck in the fields that we owned. And I would shoot deer out of the truck and not go in the woods. But I didn't shoot a lot because there's not that many that come out. But it's just, it changed my whole life. It was the most life-changing experience I've ever been through. And I had nightmares for months. It was just something that was hard I couldn't even, sometimes I even double guess myself and say, did I really see that thing? You get to the point where you realize you did, but your mind plays games on you then because it was so terrifying that it was something that it'd take a long time to get over.
Did it do you think it was an entity that would have caused you harm? Did you have that feeling?
Well, I've come a long way since then. That was 33 years ago. So I know a lot more about these creatures now than I did then. And first of all, the one I seen on the hillside after I was running, I 100% know that wasn't the same creature because these creatures were always in family groups. There's usually always 2 or 3 together, minimum. And I've seen many of them since then. And I think the thing that probably really changed my life as much as anything, as my first experience was, 7 years later in '99, I was on the Cumberland River where I fished at, and it was very, very rural there too. Nobody even knew how to get to the spot except 2 of my friends. They had showed it to me, and you had to go through an old private area to get back there. And I run into these creatures again, and I was just fishing. I wasn't looking for them, and I wasn't hunting. I was fishing on the river, and those creatures were never aggressive. They didn't look anything like that creature. And the female was the first one I seen that scared me to death, and I left immediately. And I thought about it a week. I'm not letting these things run me out of here. I'm not doing it. I'm not going to be afraid of these creatures. And I made myself go back, and I'm glad I did because there again, it changed my life again. I became very close friends with those creatures. They have intentions. They know your intentions. They understand you. They know if you have a good heart. They also know that you're a good person or you're not. They somehow have that way of reading you. And a lot of times they know what you're going to do before you do it. And I became very close to those. Like I said, they look nothing like the first one I'd seen. And I've never seen another one like that one since that day. And I was very comfortable with them. And that gave me a whole different outlook on what I've been through because I realized, there's good and bad in everything. These creatures weren't bad, and they had trust in me, and I built that over quite a few years with them, and I had the same with them. And it made me feel more comfortable that there's good out there, not just bad.
Yeah, you'd never go outside again, would you, if you hadn't had it?
I'm just gonna show you. I'm just gonna put something up just to show you, Darrell, and just let me know if you recognize this. Okay, they're stones, right? Let's see if you recognize what this is.
The stones I'm talking about is what we call, when I was a kid, we called it Indian money.
Okay, right. Have a look at this and see what you think. Yeah. So that was in Wales. And I'll just put this up like that. That was in Wales. Do those stones look familiar, the way they're
No,
stacked?
no. But I know that stone stack though. The creatures do make that stone stack 100%. It's most of the time I've learned from the ones on the river. I learned a lot from them, and even got words from those creatures. And they have their own language. They know my language, and they also know my Native American language that I'd learned to speak from my grandmother. And they're very intelligent, and those are called stack stones, and they're markers. They're
Mm.
markers for their family, and I don't know exactly what they mean, but I'm pretty sure that they allow the other tribes or the other troops or families that come into
Mm.
their area that's their area. They're very territorial, and they want them to know that they've got so many members in their family, and I believe that's what each stone
Mm.
represents.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And in Native American Okie.
Yep, yep.
Um, so
I
I
dress the creatures. I dress the Bigfoot or the hairy man or the Sasquatch. I call them the forest people when they're friendly, but
yeah
I dress them the Chayitanka, which means great elder of the forest, the watcher,
yeah
and
the
they are
Watchers.
the keeper
Yeah,
of the forest, and they're very
yeah,
respectful, and they expect you to be very respectful to the
yeah.
forest too. So
You see, wood boogers normally, but you see, terminology differs depending on the geolocation. What would be known as a wood booger over here would be more of a thinner, slender built wild man, hairy all over, but a lot more quicker than a normal, as you would call a
I can
Bigfoot.
agree with that. Yeah,
Um,
I've had so many experiences since that time frame of my first encounter of different type of Bigfoot or creatures. I believe I've seen what I believe to be 4 or 5 different type over the last 30 something years. But
mm,
the one on
you,
the river that I became so close friended to, if you're familiar with where you are, you know who Patty was and the
yeah.
Patterson Gimlin. They look more like that creature.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. 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 Uh, we'll get on to a little bit on the Patterson Gimlin film in a little bit, but because there's quite a bit of controversy at the moment going on with that. But
Sure.
um, what's what's your take with the deers? Because deers feature quite heavily when it comes to cryptids. Um, I would say that with deers, and deers actually feature quite heavily when it comes to aliens and UFOs. It's almost as if, in my mind, that there are the eyes and ears. They're kind of like they're able to be manipulated, used. Excuse me, able to be manipulated, used, almost like spies, if you like, by aliens and by Bigfoot, not Dogman so much, but uh, they have a close correlation. Deers do in a lot of witness reports where they see these deers and they're acting oddly, acting strange. I've got a video of where I saw I was videoing some deer and they were looking at something. These deer were, and the dogs were going crazy, absolutely crazy. My dogs were, and they kept circling me, protection. And uh, I kind of like was untangling them because I had them on leads because the deers were there. I didn't want them going after the deer, so I had them on leads. And I was untangling them, and then I put the camera up again, and you could see the deer were looking at this golden entity that wasn't there before. And then on closer look at the film, you could see this big, massive thing coming out of the forest. I'll get the film up in a little while and I'll have a dig around, I'll find it. But what's your take on the deer? Do you think that they do act strange around?
Well, first of all, I 100% believe that these creatures in the forest, and maybe even Dogman, I know Bigfoot, I 100% believe they can shapeshift. So when I mean shapeshift, they can turn themselves into a higher vibration of energy, which my best friend Ron Moorhead and I have discussed so many times, and he's probably the most he probably knows more about quantum physics than anybody I've ever known, and I've learned a lot from him on the quantum physics. These creatures have a higher vibration than we do, and they're able to transfer themselves, I believe, into different things. I 100% believe that I had one in Cheatham County, Tennessee, turn into an opossum. So it went from a light bulb to an opossum, and I witnessed it and couldn't believe what I was seeing. But I've never seen one right in front of me go interdimensional, but I've seen them go behind a tree and not come out, nowhere else to go. And I do believe that deer, first of all, is their number one food source. It is in the U.S. here anyway, the USA. And of course, there's a lot of wild pigs that I do believe they feed on too. I do think they have a way and ability. I've been zapped 3 times or infrasounded 3 times in my lifetime. And these creatures have some type of way to transform energy and completely paralyze you. So when I say paralyze you, you can't hardly move your legs. It feels like your legs are asleep. When Bigfoot zaps you, and also feels like your stomach is somebody standing on your stomach, and it feels like you have a massive headache and you're delusional. So the only way to get out of that state of mind, and I learned this from my other best friend, Martin Groves, when he had 2 Dogmen try to kill him. And you start praying inside your mind, and that it will bring you out of it. And it did do that for me, too, when I was with Martin. And somehow these creatures can transfer that energy into that and do that to you. I think they do the same thing to deers, and they also transform themselves in a pattern where they can make a deer act very strangely and possibly even walk in circles. And I know for a fact that a lot of the creatures in the forest are helpers of the Bigfoot or the Sasquatch or whatever you'd like to call them. The coyotes hunt for them, and they bring down deer for them. I've watched a Bigfoot run from the wood line at 2 o'clock in the morning on thermal, and with my good friend Billy Howell in Cheatham County, Tennessee, we're on a hillside, and these coyotes, we heard them coming a long way off, and they took down a deer. There was a pack of them, and as soon as they took down the deer, they got quiet. A Bigfoot ran out of the woods, grabbed the deer, and ran back into the woods. And I also know crows work for them. You hear crows going crazy at the wood line when you're going in and you're researching, they're letting the Bigfoot know you're there. And they do work for them. And the crows are a very smart animal anyway. So
no, they are. Yeah, exceptionally smart. And this is where you get, in my mind, you get a crossover. You get it's a fine line between the paranormal and the cryptid world. It's and the further on down in the research you go, the more it tends to blend over. It tends to blend together. You talking about crows and about a lot of paranormals would say that paranormal believers would say that, and especially with things like witchcraft and stuff, that they're familiars, or they are able to shapeshift, morph.
right.
With this in mind, with seeing one turn into a possum, what's your take on Sasquatch? What is your take on it, Darrell?
I believe they're 100% flesh and blood. 100%. Definitely believe they're 100% flesh and blood. I do think that they have special abilities. I know they do. They're able to do
Mm.
things that our mind you can't just wrap your mind around. It's so astonishing what they're able to do. But I've witnessed quite a few things now. The one I was talking about, it turned into an opossum. I did not see it turn into an opossum. I make that very clear. But I seen what looked like a light bulb, a tiny light bulb coming through the woods in the area that we gifted at and left the Bigfoot in that area that was terrorizing a family looking in their windows at night. And we were trying to help them get these creatures away from the house. And that's what we were doing in there. And this light bulb, I watched it come all the way down through the woods. It looked like just like a light bulb moving by itself across the ground, right on the edge of maybe a couple inches above the ground. And I watched it for a good 100 yards or further, and then crossed the ravine. I lost it. Then it came out of the ravine. Then it was walking right toward me. I was behind a large tree, and this thing was coming right toward me. And my buddy Billy was to the left of me down the hillside behind a tree, and he had a massive spotlight that he turned on, a battery-operated lamp. And this thing's coming toward me. I didn't know what it was. I'd never seen anything like that. And it's within 3 or 4 foot of the tree. It's coming right to me. And he stands up and hits that spotlight. And when he did, it lit up the entire woods, and it lit up that light bulb. And that thing stopped right next to me. The light bulb turned into an opossum. It looked at me. It hissed at me. Then it turned around and went right back where the light bulb came from. And I watched it go out of sight. You could see the silhouette of it as it was walking away, and it went into an area I couldn't see it anymore. And it wasn't long after that we had so much activity. 2 massive orbs about the size of beach balls came down out of the trees, and they hovered above the ground. And they were red, pink, and orange. They were just pulsating inside. It was the strangest thing in the world, but it happened. And then we heard the Bigfoot coming. They were coming to the gifting spot. So I don't know how they're able to do the things they do. I do think they're flesh and blood. The ones on the river were so close to me that, especially 3 of them, the female was super close to me. I even touched her finger, and she touched my shoe, and she and I were very close. And the larger male the same way. I never touched him, but I touched her. She wanted to touch me because I would bring them donuts. They love jelly-filled donuts. So she was very friendly and very trustworthy to me. And I think they're able to do things that we probably are not aware of still. The abilities.
At what point do you think that they are aware of you entering a forest? Put it that way.
When you get out of your vehicle.
Okay. And at what point are they aware that you're trying to photograph them and they sort of blur the photograph?
Well, first of all, you're probably not going to see one if you're carrying a weapon or you're carrying a camera of any kind. So I don't know why that is, but the ones I had on the river that I became very close friends to, they didn't really like me to bring a camera. I did bring one. I took 32 snapshots of it. It was a disposable camera, and they all turned out black. The pictures did. There was nothing in them. So I don't know how they're able to do that, but they are. They can drain your electronics. I've had that happen before too. It's amazing the abilities that they have, but I 100% believe, like my close friend Ron Moorhead, that it all contributes to quantum physics. They have such a higher energy and vibration than we do. We only know of 3. There's the crossover between different patterns of life, and I think they're able to possibly live in a 4th or a 5th dimension. We can't. We 3 is about the most that we're known to do.
I personally believe that because I think that we see states of matter change daily, right before our eyes. You know, like I've said before, a cup of coffee. You stick it in. If it gets too cold, it will turn into a solid. If it gets too hot, it will turn into a gas. It's changing states quite easily. And I believe that these entities that we see are part and parcel of a lot of other entities that we see. I think it's the same energy. And I think perhaps when you see a Bigfoot, maybe the intent you have going to see a Bigfoot, it will manifest as a Bigfoot to you. They are physical when they're actually in our realm. I'm pretty sure they are physical. They are for sure.
I'm not
And I
sure if
think
all
then,
of them. I'm not sure that all those creatures are able to do what some of them can. I don't know how that works, and I wish I did, but I don't. But I think some of them have more abilities than other ones, and I don't know what breaks down that between one over another. But I know that the power they have is pretty impressive, and it's mind-boggling, really, because an average person just can't wrap their mind around what these creatures are able to do.
yeah. How are they able? How do you think they're able to like when they're being photographed? And there's thousands and hundreds of thousands of photos and videos. How are they able every time? And I've taken loads of video and I've taken loads of photos, but always the question of pareidolia comes in because every single time, and I promise you something, like a lot of researchers, I feel it inside both the emotion of them. I feel when they're near. I know when I'm gonna take a photo or something because I can feel to in the photo it looks like pareidolia, it just looks like a bush. It looks like a shadow next to a bush. But when I'm there photographing it, I can sense and feel either danger or I can sense and feel their presence. So it's a very personal, individual thing which happens, but it always amazes me how they can manipulate the photograph or the video to such an extent that it always comes out looking not quite well defined. It just looks, as if it's like a paranormal. It's as if it's so absurd. Yeah, we are here. You can photograph us, but when you do, it's going to come out looking like a shadow next to a bush. Okay. And
Well,
then
I
when
mean,
you try and pass that on, you're going to look absolutely ridiculous because there's no point in passing it on. It's like the paranormal, exactly the same. So try and take a photo, try and explain this. And it's done in such an absurd way that it's hard to relay that episode you had without looking bonkers.
well, it's also hard too for people to understand that, and I can understand the regular public especially. I've got a large group, and the members of my group are very respectful. We don't allow criticism or any ridicule, and you'll get thrown out of the group. So we just
I've
don't.
got your group up, actually. I've got your group. I'll just put it up so people know. Here we go. Right. Okay, this is your group, isn't it?
Yes, Bigfoot creatures, Bigfoot believers, and other creatures is the name of it. So when I started it,
69.6 thousand.
yeah, we've got real
Wow.
close to 70,000, and we're a private group, so we don't, there's a lot of groups that aren't private that anybody can just walk right into, but you have to be a member of our group to be in it, and we've kept it under
Okay.
control that way too, and which is, in my opinion, the only way to have a group. When I started that group 4 years ago, my main goal was to have a group where people could tell their stories and encounters and share their photographs if they had them and not be criticized or ridiculed. And that's what
Yeah.
we base our group on, and we're very well known for that. So we've ousted over 26,000 people. So we would have well over 100,000 people if we would allow people to ridicule or criticize people, but we don't. So, there's a lot of people that's still dealing with PTSD and traumatized out there by seeing a Bigfoot Dogman or
Yeah.
another type of creature. And they really, for years when it happened to me, I had nobody to talk to. I was just, you talk to your friends or family, they think you're crazy. You know, even my best friend at that time still is Martin Groves. You know, he had his encounter 4 months after mine, and you know, we'd go to lunch and talk to each other. He's the only person I could talk to about it. So there wasn't any groups, there wasn't any shows like this, there wasn't any podcasts, there just wasn't anybody to express what you lived through at that time like there is now. So we're pretty lucky that we're in a time that people can express themselves and tell what they've encountered. And you've always got those naysayers that are going to out there, and you can't stop them. But I learned a long time ago, during that time frame especially, I don't care what people believe. I don't care whether they believe me or not. I know what I've seen. I know what I've lived, and I could care less.
Yeah. Do you know, it's funny. I'll just stop that and that. Just get that ready to play that. Sorry. I found the video with the deer, but I was gonna say paranormal. Right? It's a little bit strange, and this is just an observation. And I'll probably get berated for this saying this, but I'm going to say it anyway. Paranormal, ghosts and stuff like that. A lot of times they're kind of like a lot more easygoing with their accounts and stories. You know, they can sort of laugh about them a bit. You know,
Sure.
with aliens and UFO investigators and hunters, I put them in the same niche as cryptozoology hunters. They have got a sense of humor, but when it comes to their accounts, or it comes to their testimonies and kind of just generally talking to them, they seem to have a bit of a humor bypass. Do you know? Because I think what it is, being that I've had a Dogman, not Bigfoot, only once Bigfoot, and that was in Cannock Chase. I've got a video of that as well. But I think it's because after years and years and years of being berated for it and ridiculed for the sighting, you learn to sort of if you kind of like laugh about it or joke about it, it somehow kind of just your walls go down, your defense system goes
Yeah, I
down.
agree with that. Yeah. Yeah, I don't get offended by people that don't believe. I just don't get into the conversation with them. I stay away from it. So. But you know, I don't try to push it on anybody. They don't have to believe what they don't want to believe, and I'm happy with the way I am. It took me, you know, it took quite a few years to get to that point, though, because when you have an encounter like that that terrifies you, and you know is 100% real and it happened to you, it kind of bothers you in a way that people think you're not being truthful. So you learn to put yourself in a state of mind where you could care less what people think. So, and that's what I did, because I know what I've seen, and I know what I've seen since then. So we're lucky that there's so many people now that believe in these creatures because they've seen them too, and they've had experiences with them, and you got to appreciate that.
It's accelerated, if anything, Darrell. There's more and more sightings all the while.
Because there's
Which
more
I
and
think,
more creatures.
yeah, and I think that's for a reason. I think that's for a reason, very much so.
It's got a
Do
lot
you
to
do you
do
ever
with
hear do you ever hear voices? Do you ever hear the voices of you know, these creatures? Do they ever talk to you?
No, I've never been one that mind spoke with them. I've got friends that do that on a regular basis, but I haven't. You know, I've never done that with them. And I don't know if it's something they choose to do or the person they choose to do or not, but I haven't. No.
Okay, all right then. Right, bearing in mind that, you know, bearing in mind that with Bigfoot, can we just have a quick? What was the standout? If I was to ask you, you've got 10 minutes before somebody presses the red button and the whole world blows up. What's the standout account of Dogman that really did it for you? What's the one an experience you had with a Dogman that you just blank, wow?
Well, unfortunately, my phone's getting low here. I'm about to get my charger here shortly, but didn't realize it was going to do that. It went down quick today. But you know, the account I've seen 4 Dogmen, the complete creature. I've seen more than that, just in the bush or in the trees, parts of it, a head or a tail or something. But one is, as far as the entire creature and knowing for sure that's what it was, I've seen 4 of them. I'd definitely say my first encounter, the first one I seen, was in Tazewell County, Virginia, and that creature was massive. It looked like a large black German Shepherd, except it was about 3 to 4 times the size of a normal one. And it did stand up on 2 legs. It had hot legs, and it stuck a leg over a fence and disappeared. But the one I've seen with Martin Groves would always be the most astonishing thing that I've ever seen in my lifetime, and that was a creature that was in a ditch in the LBL. It was the 29th anniversary of Martin Groves' encounter in that area, where he was almost eaten by 2 Dogmen and 2 Bigfoot that tried to stop him. And we were going back there. We were going in that area. We were going to hike in there in the middle of the night, 11:30, 12 o'clock at night. And we'd already been there a couple of days, and we're doing some research in the LBL, Land Between the Lakes. And we turned a curve, and there was a big creek bed, a dry creek bed to the right. And we're on these back roads in the middle of the LBL. Now, it's hard for you to understand unless you know the LBL, but there are roads that go everywhere, to the left, to the right. They're just dirt roads, gravel roads, and if you don't know where you're at, you can get lost very easily. But anyway, we had just turned on this road that went to Russian Creek, the area where he had his incident at, and we were going to walk in that night and see if we had an experience. And as soon as we turned, we're doing maybe 1 or 2 miles an hour on this old dirt road, gravel road out in the middle of nowhere. And I looked to the right, and there's this reddish blue mist, like a mist. It looked like red, and it looked like blue. And down in this ravine, this creek, in this dry creek bed, lay this creature. And this creature was laying there on the ground. It looked like it was like on a pounce on me, like a cat. It was in that position, like it was going to pounce. I had my window down, and my arm, I could have reached over and touched this creature. I was 5 foot maybe from it. And it's looking at me. It's massive. It was completely silver in color, silver gray. It had little tips of light on each tip of its fur. The head was like a massive dog head, wolf-looking thing. It had mane around its neck. Its mouth was open, its teeth, I could see them, and its eyes were deep and clear like tiny flashlights. They weren't colored, they were clear. And this thing was just looking at me with like a grimace, and I thought it was going to leap into the truck on top of me. It just kept staring at me, and it was in that stance. And about that time, it zapped me. It zapped Martin. He was driving. He was so sick, he could barely breathe. It had some type of allergic reaction and caused his throat to swell together and his tongue to swell up. And he was telling me, "Bub, I can't breathe. I can't breathe." I was trying to get him stopped and turn the truck around, but we got this creature to the right of the truck looking at me, and it gets up and goes down the side of my truck, side of his truck. It goes behind the truck. It's not like walking, it's like gliding. And then it goes to the left side. And I've got my flashlight. I'm zapped. But I start to pray, "Jesus, bring me out of this. Bring me out of this. I need your help." And I've learned this from Martin. This is what he did when he had this happen in 1993. And it works. And Scott Carpenter also had told me that. But I started getting my legs back, and I could move. I had my flashlight, a bright flashlight. I shined it out the side window, and I could see this creature walking around Martin's side of the truck. It's walking through a field to the left of him. And this creature's a good sized, huge creature with a head about the size. His head was about half the size of our windshield, and it's looking at us, but it's walking away. And I shined the flashlight, and and this creature, as hard as it is to believe, was transparent at the same time. My light went through the creature, but the creature was walking, and I watched it walk up till I couldn't see it anymore, and I heard it breaking limbs going up a hillside. And I never seen anything like that in my life. It was the strangest thing I've ever seen. How something could be so real but transparent like that at the same time. And I'm worried about Martin. I'm trying to get him where he could breathe, and I let me drive. And we're still both a little under the zapping spell. My head's still a little bit dizzy, and I'm still not feeling good. He's really sick. Finally got him turned around and got him about a mile and a half down the road to a ranger station, a deer check-in station where they had street lights in a parking lot, and got him out and got him feeling better and got him some water, and he recovered where he could breathe. But he was sick for about 2 weeks after that incident. So that was definitely the strangest thing I've ever seen.
It's funny that you mentioned about our Lord Jesus Christ. The name of Jesus Christ works. They fear that. They respect that name, and they will leave and vacate. They will go. It doesn't matter what they are. It just happens, and no other name works. You pray, you say the Lord's Prayer, you pray, and many times with me, I've been in situations where I've been in the woods, and I've come across some very strange things. And some things, I remember being in Clapham Woods, and I got hit from, you could call it infrasound, very sick feeling, felt quite faint, all of us. And I just recited the name Jesus Christ, and with the power of Jesus Christ and His blood as protection. Please go and vacate, leave me alone.
Yes. And
they do.
Yeah.
And I moved on a little way, and I was fine. That's happened quite a few times to me. It's a strange anomaly, though. It's a strange thing that they fear or they respect, let's say, and leave you alone. It could be a case of I don't think it's necessarily that they're demonic. I don't think that. I don't think they're Nephilim.
I think it's a matter of respect.
Yes, I do. Exactly right, Darrell. I think it is a matter of respect, and if anything, I think they respect that you are invoking the name of our Lord, and they right, okay, we'll move on then. That's fine. Yeah. So I think that's definitely. How long ago was that event that you had in a truck? How long ago was that?
That was October of 23. Because
oh wow, not that long ago then.
Yeah, Small Town Monsters done a special documentary on us about that particular sighting.
Wow.
Its legs, were they digit grade or were they plantar grade?
I could not see. I could see his legs. I couldn't see its feet very well. They were down in the tall grass.
Yeah, the shape of its legs, was it like a shape of a dog's legs?
Oh yeah, it was like a shape of a dog leg. Yeah.
Right, digit grade. Yeah. Okay then. Right.
Yeah. Now the back legs could have been a little different. It was hard to see in that particular dark area, but I had the light shining on it. I could see its head and its body well, and the lamp was going through the body.
Yeah. Makes sense actually. Natalie, in a lot of these cases, people have a lot of paranormal stuff that happens at home, and
I'm gonna grab my charger. I'm sorry to leave, but I'm gonna grab my charger.
No, you go ahead. That's it. Yeah, a lot of these cases, with cryptids and stuff, a lot of these investigators, they tend to have follow-up moments where they have paranormal stuff happen to them as well. Why do you think that would be? Do you think that it's a case that they're kind of like the doorway, the window's been opened, and it's allowing them to see more of a wider spectrum of events? Or do you think that what they've witnessed is paranormal in origin? Do you think it could be?
You mean the cryptids are paranormal?
Mm.
I don't know. I'm still mulling over the cryptid thing, but I would probably say that if these things aren't simply flesh and blood, it could be that actually seeing them is tuning you in. Because, you know, with the paranormal, in a way, you almost have to get yourself into the mindset to perceive it. And it's like, and you can kind of block it out to some degree. So I think possibly that the encounters are sort of like switch your brain to that kind of sensing, because it puts you on such high alert that it possibly makes it so that you are more aware of what else is around. Because, like I said, paranormal's always there; it never isn't. So yeah, it's quite possible that it's just like it, you know, tunes you in a bit more, and because it has such an effect on people, it's possibly that the brain sort of kicks into gear and it just picks up on a lot more than it normally would do.
Yeah.
That's my current. That's what I would suggest from what I've heard. Anyway, it's these things hang around those things.
Yeah.
You know how some people are ghost magnets? It could well be that the cryptids are ghost magnets too. So.
Natalie was saying, Darrell, that you know, with the paranormal's always around, but you know, when people witness things like Dogman or Bigfoot, it's like a switch, and it allows you to kind of like have a wider spectrum, a wider viewpoint, and that can encompass also paranormal. Have you ever had any paranormal stuff happen at home or anywhere where you've been?
You know, I have had a paranormal incident, but it would take too long to tell you. It was really a strange one, but two of my close friends went through it with me for quite a while. And
if that's for me, I'm not in.
My mom has an inside phone here. I apologize for that, but
Don't worry, mate. Don't worry.
I've had a couple, but one that was lasted for about 3 years. So it was very strange. It would take a long time to tell you, but it was pretty amazing how it turned out.
Okay.
But I haven't had a lot of them, no. And I've never seen an alien or anything like that. But I do believe they exist, and I do believe in the paranormal 100%. I know that it exists.
Have you had stuff moved about in your house, or you know, unexplained stuff going on like that, poltergeist type activity?
My grandmother had some stuff like that going on at one time, but I haven't. No.
Okay. All right then. Okay. Right. I wanted to ask you. Time's getting on. I just wanted to, because the hot topic at the moment is this Patterson Gimlin thing. What's your take on this, Darrell? You know, because just to explain it to people who don't know, and you know why they, you know, the Patterson, Roger Patterson, and
Bob Gimlin.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Bob. Yeah. So they took footage of Bigfoot crossing a creek, wasn't it? I think it was.
I don't know where they're at. I'm on a radio show. I'll call you back. Okay, finally got
so
that.
1967, Patterson Gimlin Bigfoot footage was captured by Roger Patterson and Robert Bob Gimlin on October the 20th, 1967, at Bluff Creek, California. Patterson, who sadly passed away, claimed the film was real, while Gimlin, a cowboy, and his friend has constantly denied it was a hoax, maintaining his involvement was genuine. So yeah, that's it's a famous, but it's kind of like, what's your take? Bearing in mind that we did speak about how they're able to sense people before they even enter a forest, bearing in mind that they also are able to manipulate the camera. Bearing those 2 points, which we made very clear earlier, what's your take now on the Patterson Gimlin film?
Well, we call it Patty here in the U.S., and it's probably the
Mm.
most famous piece of film ever taken at that particular time, because, and it still is a staple in the legendary Bigfoot, because that was the first capture on film of the creature, and it came to be known as Patty. Um, because of Patterson and Gimlin. Roger Patterson was using the camera, and Bob Gimlin was also with him, who is one of his close friends. And I haven't seen the footage that they're talking about. I don't know anybody personally that has seen it, but I've heard about it. I personally believe, with all the scientific documentation done on that creature and the breakdown between Thinker Thunker, my close friend M.K. Davis, all the scientific people, the great Dr. Jeffrey that passed away a while back, these people did a lot of work and research on this particular film of this creature, and I 100% believe it was real. The muscle mass, the movement of it, the joints, the metatarsal, everything that come into play with the scientific part of the creature seemed to be realistic and nothing but real. They didn't have anything at that particular time in 1967 that I'm aware of, that I've heard nobody else that feels any different than I do on it, that was even possible to make that operate in that particular way. Now you've got AI now, which has ruined the entire world, in my opinion. It's killed the Bigfoot evidence. It's killed the Dogman evidence.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
getting worse
yeah.
as time we go on. Even if you show a credible picture, the first thing you hear on a comment, oh, that's AI. So, the AI may have had something to do with this supposedly new film they've got of this creature. I haven't seen
Yeah,
one that's
just to explain to people who don't know, there's a documentary which is due to come out. It was meant to come out, I believe, on Thursday with Plex, but it didn't, which is quite suspicious. But that didn't come out. And it features footage showing that the people involved had done a mock-up, had done a almost before the main footage. They'd taken footage of someone dressed up in a suit and being filmed. So it's a dry run, if you like, a dry run for the
right.
Patty film. And the guy I knew about it was this guy. I'll show you. I've got a clip of him here. Right. Hairy Man Road. Oh, and it was a thing.
From after he told,
I'll take that.
which they mentioned in the documentary, he was estranged from, after he told her that he was going to come forward, saying that it was a hoax. And he does mention a little story at the very beginning about his mom was like in the living room or something, just smoking cigarettes. And he sits down and talks with her, and she tells him that Bob Hieronymus, of all people, was in the Patty suit in the famous footage. This is from Clint Patterson. He got it from his mother, Patricia Patterson. And that's just the beginning of the documentary, really. One of the best documentaries, I'm not even taking into the Bigfoot subject, one of the best documentaries I've seen, period.
So this guy watched it. and he done a series. Straight afterwards, he went on camera and he done a very, very good job because he's got almost like a photographic memory. He relayed the whole of the video, the video about the hoax in chronological order. He was talking about the money they earn from it as well. It was kind of like it goes into an awful lot of detail, and he seems really quite genuine in it. He seems the way he's talking, and his previous. That's what gets me. His previous videos were really quite good. Genuine. So there was no reason really to doubt him on this.
That they would travel all the way, across the country with, and they show the numbers on there. I think it was like over $600,000 they made in a certain amount of time, and that was equivalent to like $5 million now. All they show the numbers in there. I'm not sure how accurate those are, but they're in there. There's a lot of stuff in there. That they would travel all the way, across the country with.
So, yeah, it's a bit of a conundrum. I would say with myself, Darrell, I would say because I'm a bit of a technical nerd. I love cameras. Anything to do with video cameras, I was like, oh yeah, I'm straight on it. I love it. I've had it since an early age of cameras. And the camera that they used was a Cine Kodak K100. Now there was another model which is used, which for the time, which was a Cine Kodak K100 turret, and basically with the turret you had interchangeable lenses. And it was introduced in 1955. This camera was originally. And was designed primarily for advanced amateur movie makers, independent filmmakers, and semi-professional users. While there was an earlier model, but it wasn't a lot of cop, to be honest with you. And it was too heavy to be used. It wasn't that portable. But this one that they used, which I couldn't quite get my mind. Most people, my dad used to take holiday video of us and me running around like a mad thing on a beach with a Cine 8 camera, which was a relatively normal 100 be about $100 back then camera, and that's what it used. I have a little handle like that, and it just looked through, and it'd like kind of take it on Cine 8 film. This thing that they shot the Patty film on was a 16mm camera, semi-professional. And it got me thinking, that's the one thing I don't understand. It's quite a bit of kit. It's quite big. It's quite heavy. It's a wind up, no batteries. You've got to wind it up. And it is expensive. We're talking back then for this semi-professional camera, it was $1,000. Today's money, you're talking £10,000 for a semi-professional camera. That's the one part I don't fully understand with this camera. It's got some hell of a good specs for it. It's 100-foot daylight loading spools, use standard 16mm film spools, high quality spring motor, hand wound clockwork motor, could run for about 40 feet of film on a single wind. For the day, really good. Variable frame rates. Now that's amazing. Adjustable speeds from 16 to 64 frames per second, allowing for 24 frames per second, or slow motion 64 frames per second. I mean, this has a bit of kit. that's not really available for most people. How of the day anyway. You've got to go out of your way to carry that thing as well. It's quite a bit of kit. It's a lump. It's a lump. It's not something I'd want to take, put that way. And that's the one thing that really gets me, and that hasn't been mentioned before that I can ever hear about on any program. But the camera is a real bit of kit. So that's one thing that I'm not too sure on with that. But yeah, I mean, I can't give a definitive yes, it is, or no, it isn't. And I really can't, because I haven't seen this documentary yet. Once I see it, then I will give an honest opinion, because we have to be honest. We have.
Well,
That's
same
one thing.
here. I feel the same way. But at the same time, after what I've seen over the years of the breakdown of this creature, I would find it very difficult to believe that Dr. Jeffrey Meldrum could be fooled with someone in a costume making how do you make the muscles move in the legs, the back area, the buttocks, the feet? I mean, I don't know how that was possible in that time frame. I'm not a film person. I don't know a lot about cameras as you do, but I would find it very difficult to fool him and a lot of others who looked at this over the years. There were so many people that tried to debunk this over the years. I remember hearing about the costume 25 years ago, about somebody they knew that was going to wear a costume, and it was a hoax. I heard that back then. I mean, I've heard this over the years. Now, the new film is supposed to have, I believe, Roger Patterson's son turned all this in for documentary, is what I've been told or what I understood. I could be wrong, but I don't know how you could fool a M.K. Davis who breaks down this particular creature piece by piece and even blows it up to size where you can actually see a braided curl in the hair of Patty. So, why would they have a braided curl in a costume? Why would this creature not just stop if it was not real? I understand what your point was earlier. These creatures know our intentions and all that. I do agree with that, but I also believe that some of these creatures, and I've seen the type of creature in the forest, that they don't care where you see them or not. So I don't mean they're going to stand there and let you.
That's the thing, Darrell. That's the thing. That's the thing. It's been 60 years. Yeah. And countless. And I'll tell you what, right? Now, this is a Google Pixel 7 Pro, old one. So, yeah, right. So it's an old one. But the tech in this for the camera is absolutely outstanding. Now, I'm a bit of a petrol head, Darrell. I've got to admit it. I'm a bit of a petrol head. Right? And when it comes to motorbikes, vroom, vroom, oh, my word. I love them. Love them. I really do. I love them. And I've been to the MotoGP about 4 or 5 times now, and love it. And these bikes, they're going round at flipping hell. They're taking a corner 160 miles an hour. Their knee is right down. They are flying. When you actually dare, it's incredible. You don't get a sense of speed on TV. You can't get it on TV. You have to be there to see them go meow, 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 like that. This camera gets that shot of them going 160 miles an hour, and you can see every spoke of the wheel.
Wow, it's amazing.
And that is an old camera. Okay.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying to you is 60 years since that event, and we have not had a clear photograph or video like the Patty. In 60 years, and with the cameras we have now. Don't you find that strange?
Well,
Those are digital, though, aren't they?
well,
These cameras are digital, though, aren't they? The cameras on these things are all digital and electronic. So your older cameras, like, because they're film, they're based on exposure, aren't they? So I presume that they don't have the electronics in them. Because you were saying
they didn't. The cameras back then didn't. They were they had
So we're going into woods with digital cameras, not film cameras. So maybe if we were going in with film cameras.
Well, let me say this, if I could. First of all, there's been quite a few great captures caught since Patterson and Gimlin. Patty, I've always rated Patty my number one. My number two would definitely be Paul Freeman's footage that he captured back in the 90s. That was absolutely astonishing, of a Bigfoot walking through the forest, and that film is available now. He captured that, and I don't think Patterson Gimlin is any better than that. It's just not out in the wide open as much as that is. Then you got number three, which has not ever been debunked, and people have tried. It's called the Independence Day film that was shot somewhere, I believe, in the Rockies mountains of Colorado. I think I'm correct on that. It's a female Bigfoot carrying a baby. Picks it up and carries it. That's number three. Number four is the Mississippi skunk ape in the Mississippi of the USA, of a gentleman who was bow hunting and filmed this creature breaking bark off a tree in the swamps, trying to apparently eat some type of insects or some type of animal that was in the tree. And that is about as good as it gets, too. So there's a lot of other ones out there that just doesn't get the credit that Patty got. And I don't think that, matter of fact, I think some of those are just as good or maybe even better than Patty. And but they're not the staple that Patty's become, because that was the very first one. And, whether it's real or not real, I personally believe it's real. I'm talking about Patty. I don't believe you can fool that many scientists with leg muscles and all the movement that the body had. I don't believe they had anything like that. Maybe they did, but my belief it's real. The documentary I haven't seen. To be very truthful, I don't even care to see it, because I know what I believe, and it's just another flaw that's in the field that we're in. You've got so many people out there that just want to make fun, want to make everybody think that it's just a bunch of hogwash, that these creatures don't exist, they don't live, and they're going to laugh and joke about it. And that's the worst thing about something like this coming out, because there's so many credible researchers, experiencers that live around these creatures every day. They're on their farm, they're next to their house, they're out walking around, they see them on a regular basis, and they don't get any credibility.
Oh yeah, no, I agree. I agree, Dale. I'm not detaching. I'm not deflecting away from the fact that these things, and everyone watching, okay, who's had an experience, I respect that experience, because they have. I've had experiences. I've had experiences right from the very early age of 8 years old. I've had experiences, and I still have them. So I'm not detaching away from that. What I am calling into question is with this film, which I haven't seen. No one's seen it yet, except a select few. But I haven't seen it, but it does bring up, when I first saw the Patty film anyway, I just thought it was too, like a lot of people, it was a trophy footage. I know about the other footage you're talking about, the one with the holding the baby and the wood booger one as well. I know those ones, but the Patty film was a trophy. That was one which was put on the shelf and saying, right, there you go, it is real. But if footage calls that into question, and I don't mean that people's experiences, people have experiences, but the footage, if it calls into question even the slightest doubt that it is a hoax, then yes, I think we should really rethink it. We should rethink it, but we can't until
I don't ever I would never support any type of hoax of any kind, but at the same time, it would take some serious convincing to me to debunk these great scientific people that's broke this down over time. And not saying that couldn't be done. It would have to be something pretty remarkable for me to change my mind on that.
I listened to a show you were on yesterday, and is it what's the name of the guy? Hang on. There was Larry Luttrell on. Hello, Larry. You're in the comments as well. You're a moderator. And he was talking about the Turin Shroud as an analogy. Yeah. Because let's face it, it's very difficult, and it is difficult with video or photography to debunk. I'll tell you why it's difficult. It's because it's a 2D image. Okay, it's difficult because of the very nature of the beast. You have to rely on the aperture of the photograph or video at the time, how much light is going in, how much shadow. You can't. There's nothing physical there, tangible. And this guy yesterday on the show was talking about using the Turin Shroud as an analogy, for the Patty film. And he got it a bit mixed up, but because he was saying that the Vatican, how wrong people can be, sort of like, because they think like the Turin Shroud is, sort of like real, and it is real. Because it was in 1998 to 2000, there was public viewings. 1998 to 2000, public viewings. There was no samples sent off at 1998, between 1998 and 2000. It was just public viewings. Just want to get that straight. Restorations occurred in 2002. 30 patches. And the backing cloth were removed, revealing a faint image on the reverse side. While the 1988 tests found the linen was from the 13th to 14th century, many argued this sample was taken from a part restored in the 1500s. So there's a bit of a discrepancy there. But just to clarify, because I'm a big believer in the Turin Shroud, and that is, I do believe it's Jesus Christ. In 2024, the Shroud of Turin made international headlines again following a study published by Italian researchers who used a novel X-ray technique to estimate its age. A team from Italy's Institute of Crystallography used a method called wide-angle X-ray scattering, or WAX, to analyze a tiny fiber from the shroud. The findings, this technique measures the natural structural degradation of flax cellulose over time, and researchers concluded that the shroud's fiber matches similar samples from AD 55 to 74, aligning it with the historical time frame of Jesus' death. Middle East, recent flax analysis suggests the material used for the linen was grown in the Western Levant modern day Israel, providing a geographical support for Middle Eastern origin rather than European one. So, you have to get facts straight. And when I heard the chap talking yesterday about the Turin Shroud, using it as an analogy, I was like, no, you can't really use it as an analogy against the Patty film at all. Because one very important part is material. It's literally, pardon the pun, it's something tangible. It's something you can touch, you can feel, you can actually, view. Whereas a Patty film, is 2D, it's on cellulose. So it's slightly different. So I just wanted to clarify that in case anyone sees the show and gets a bit confused. But yeah, it's one of these, I can't wait for the documentary.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are looking forward to it, like I said, my stance on it is pretty much how I felt about it, and it would take something pretty serious for me to feel different about it. But I will be open minded on it. So that's the way I'll leave it on that.
That's all we can be. That's all we can be. And I just want to say thank you very much. And I'll tell you what. I just want to say thank you to every comments we've got. As I say, Larry Luttrell, we've got Kate, we've got Sasquatch Sister. Now, if there's any questions, please chuck them over. Here we go. Phil and Darrell, have you heard of all the sightings that have occurred in Ohio this past week? I haven't, no.
I've heard of it. Yeah, it's been an ongoing thing. They're seeing one after another. It's pretty unusual.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh. So we don't get reports of it.
So that's what makes it more strange. It's all over the state of Ohio. It's been numerous Bigfoot sightings. I don't know how many exactly, but quite a few.
Wow. So I don't hear that. You don't get news like across like that for some reason. It doesn't move very quickly, even a social thing. Is it on your page? That?
Oh, there's been several people that have posted about it, yes, on our group and our page, yes.
Okay, right, all right. Michigan Cryptid, I hope to talk to you soon, Michigan Cryptid. Is Darrell of Native American lineage?
I have Native American lineage. Yes, I do. My grandmother was a Native American. So yes.
Okay. Is it Cree or is it Cree lineage or?
No, it's Lakota Sioux.
Okay, so yeah, right, yeah. Did she ever mention about the unmentionable? The entity
No,
which is...
I didn't. She was. It's a long story with that. It's on my real father's side, and he's gone. But I don't remember everything because I didn't see her as much as I would like to because she wasn't really in my life.
Oh, I see. All right. Okay. Okay. Right. If there's no other, I just want to say thank you. Who's that paranormal goldfish paranormal? That's a weird one. Right. Right. We've also got me, Milo K9 MWD. Hello. Thank you very much for joining. Larry. Yes. Kate. Yes. We've got paranormal witchcraft. Hello there. Yes. Hello there, Tobias. There's loads and loads in the chats. Honestly, thank you so much. Susan Voosden, hello. Any other questions, please put them up. Otherwise, we will close this off because we're coming up to 2 hours now. We've pretty much covered an awful lot. There's so much more to cover. But would you come on again one day?
Sure, I'll come on with you again. Always, yeah. I enjoyed being
Brilliant.
on.
I appreciate that.
Both very good hosts, both of you.
Thank you very much. Right, yeah, no, I appreciate that because because you've been on so many flipping shows. Darrell, do you ever get like kind of a bit showed out? Do you get showed out? You know, but you get to a stage you think, oh, just like, and it runs through like a script.
You know, I do have those moments. I've actually had one lately. I've done so many last month, and you know, I kind of slowed down a little bit. I don't like to hurt anyone's feelings or make them feel like they're not as important as anybody else. But I've had to tell a few lately. I just got to take a break for a little bit here because it's been pretty crazy the last well, I've been doing them for I don't know how many years now. I've done over 590, I believe it is, and radio and podcasts. So I used to keep up with them, and I've lost count, and it doesn't really matter anyway. But anyway, I enjoyed doing them. But you kind of feel like people's heard your story so many times, you don't want to overload it.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? It's like yeah, that's the thing. Have you thought about writing a book?
I'm writing a book now.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I've been writing one for about over a year now. So it's mainly about my first experience. Matter of fact, the title of it is Monster in the Woods.
Is it?
That's cool.
Yeah, that is cool. Yeah. it's a hard thing writing a book, isn't it?
Well, every time I get started and write a page or two, I'll forget something that I remembered so well. I go back and tear that page up and put it back in there. So that's the problem I have, is I'm such a perfectionist when it comes to trying to remember all the accounts and everything that happened. I don't want to leave anything out, but at the same time, it makes it difficult to finish it.
Yeah, I know. I find it's I think it's the isolation that gets me, because I'm more of a I much prefer talking than I do sitting down writing. When I'm sitting down writing, it suits Natalie. Natalie quite likes it. She's very good at it. Very, very good at it. Natalie is. But
got
with
my
me,
pens already.
yeah, she's old school.
Everything's on written paper.
The audio books are so popular now. A lot of people have told me, just do the audio book. Everybody likes those, and I've thought about that. I would have been finished a long time ago if I'd have done that. So,
yeah, I know. I think that's a good idea. Audiobook. I could do that. I can yabber like the best of them. I'm waffle. I waffle a lot. I'm really good waffling.
A lot of people comment to me all the time. I don't know if they're being nice or they're being truthful, but they like my southern voice and they enjoy hearing me speak about my adventures.
Yes. Do you know? I was gonna say, Darrell, your voice, honestly, it's got a timbre to it. It's got a deep timbre to it. It's got your voice. I can imagine you. If you gave it all up and decided you're going to be, I don't know, maybe a platform announcer on a train system or something. Everyone will stand to attention. Train's coming. You got that deep timbre to your voice. Very what's the word? Like Olfactarian.
Yeah. Maybe I could do a foghorn for a boat, and that might work pretty good. I might have quite a few jobs. People want to hook me up.
I can just imagine it. I'll tell you, that's going to be a ringtone. You want to get a trademark on that? That's going to be a ringtone. Yeah. Bigfoot. Oh man, it's getting to that time of night.
I can assure you, it would pay a lot more than what I make doing these.
I know, it's the thing, isn't it? You're a lovely man. You really are a lovely man.
Well,
I'm so happy to have met you. I really am.
You're very kind. I appreciate your kindness, both of you. And I'm honored to be here again, and thanks for having me. Thanks for everybody in the audience watching us.
Thank you. And listen, Natalie, again, thank you, mate, for coming on and having my back. I appreciate that. Because I drop the ball quite a lot. So sometimes when I drop the ball or I say stuff that I shouldn't, she's like, you're just there to pick me up a lot of stuff, which is good. And everyone hang on, who's this?
That's my mom.
Is that your mom?
That's cool.
We got the seal of approval then.
Yeah, she loves watching this podcast. I don't know why. But yeah, she's on every week. She's watching.
Larry, thank you very much for moderating. Do appreciate it, brother. Honestly. And Daniel, I saw you on the comments. Thank you very much. I couldn't get in contact with you earlier, Daniel, and I was getting worried. I thought, oh no. But no, thank you for joining. Do appreciate it. I really do. And everyone, I do appreciate you coming on, listening, watching, and take care. God bless from all of us.